Hi guys, this is John Brogan. I'm the director at the St Augustine Alligator Farm, and we're here sitting in my office, and we've got celebrity Frank Robb with us. If you haven't been following this story, it's been really fascinating. There was a alligator discovered in Humboldt Lagoon in Chicago, of all places. So if you don't know, alligators don't occur in Chicago naturally, and they wouldn't survive in the winter there. So this must have been an escapee or somebody's pet that they released into the pond. It made all the headlines in Chicago. Some people tried to catch it for about a week before they said, this is impossible, we got to get an expert. And the zoo in Chicago reached out to us and asked if we could recommend somebody, and we recommended Frank here, and Frank went down and did the job. So we've got some questions and things that people are asking. We're going to put this on social media, and we have some questions from different social media venues. So one is from Instagram, and they want to know, what was your favorite thing that you did when you were in Chicago?
There were so many favorite things. So this is gonna sound corny. The best part about Chicago was the people of Chicago. That was the most amazing place I ever visited. I've been a few places, and that the people of Chicago, the police department, the emergency services, animal services, and the parks department there. And not to mention the local neighborhood and just people of Chicago in general. Best place you could ever think of. I mean, just an absolute blessing, a true blessing.
That's great. So you told us that you had a friend that you met there named Drake that was kind of at your side the whole time you were there?
Yep, Taurus Drake did not leave my side. That's whole getting me emotional talking about it. He was with me through the whole thing. We walked miles together, and he said, "Whatever you want to do, I'm with you." And he stuck by me the entire time, and he was there when it all went down there at the end too.
So we got in front of us a big map that Frank brought to us that is Humboldt Park, and it's actually, when you start looking at it, you realize it's a huge area. It wasn't like just walking up to a retention pond and finding an alligator in there. So you kind of told me a while ago you kind of wish this was a bigger alligator.
Yeah, so a bigger animal would have been easier to find. There's no way around it.
Right.
It's when you're looking for something, it's a true needle in a haystack kind of situation. It really is. And then you add the public and the media along with it. It was an absolute craze.
So good. So we got this big park, and you had to search from one end to the other. You got Drake by your side.
Yep.
You said you ran into some people that were kind of keeping watch over the lake, right?
Yeah. There was so whenever I got there was probably hundreds of people around the lake. The boathouse area, which is kind of where everybody was seeing him from, there were news crews. There were people all over the place. And I was like, man, this is not going to work. This is not going to work, guys. And from that point on, we kind of set up a plan. I'm like, hey, listen, you want this to work? I can't be backlit. I can't have lights on around the pond at nighttime. If you can turn the lights off so I can be kind of working stealth, and really need to close the park down and make us a perimeter. Because the more people are over here, the shyer this animal's going to get, and he's already super shy. You can close the park down and let me work. If I can see the animal, I'll be able to catch him, and we'll move on. The whole time, I'm like, I need a chance. Give me a little chance. Give me let him be a team player. Give him a chance to relax. And if I can see him, I feel confident I can work it out.
So that was the trick, right? Nobody had seen him for a few days before you got there. There's all these different waterways that flow into each other. You found footprints and tail drags way far away from the site that you eventually ended up catching the alligator. So what odds did you give yourself when you walked up in this situation of catching an alligator?
At the very beginning, when I looked at it, I went, this is going to be pretty close to impossible.
Yeah.
Nobody said seen him since Thursday. There were no verified sightings of him since Thursday. And I'm like, well, that's been a long time ago. That's 2 days in the world of alligators, as we know. Gives them a lot of time to move around. They don't like to sit still for the most part. They like to travel, especially here where we're from. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't feel good about this.
Well, we recommended you because we knew that you did this for a living, and so the people that were trying to catch this alligator in Chicago couldn't do it, but that's not their job. That's not what they're expected to do on a regular basis. But even you, as a guy who goes out in the wilds of Florida and does this on a regular basis, knew that this was a challenge. And so Tell us a little bit about that moment that you guys spotted it and grabbed it, and I've set it up. You've got you and just you and Drake. That's it.
Well, when I first spotted it, yeah, Drake was a little bit back, and before that, I saw a frog, which I thought was him. It was the biggest frog in the history of the human race. I mean, you could have ate like a week off of this frog. It was so big. But yeah, we saw the thing, and I'm looking at it. I'm going, is that actually him? I don't know. It's the right color. It's about the right shape. You know, maybe it is. I don't know. We walked by here 8 times already. Could that actually be him? And then he blinked, and I went, oh wow, like that's really him. Yeah, and we went down there, and I told Drake, I'm like, stand there, be quiet for a second, you know. And I hopped one of the, because they put fences around the pond too. So there was a big fence around the outside area, a fence inside with police barricades, and then a fence around the whole pond. So it was almost like a human obstacle course. It was, I mean, but it worked, you know. I mean, it did the job. So we go back there, and I'm like, stand right here. And the animal, as I walked over to the place where he was, he sank. He actually came out of the cattails and sank. And I was like, well, okay, that's good. He came out of the cattails, or the cattails, but the lily pads, because hooking one up in lily pads is not really a good chance of that happening.
So you're talking about hooking him up. So you've got a big treble hook on the end of a fishing line. Is that
exactly.
the setup?
Yep.
And so yeah, if he's in the cattails or if he's in the lily pads, you're going to hook one of those before you hook him. Right?
Yeah, it's like Batman throwing a grappling hook on the roof and then going up there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If there's a bunch of things in between the roof and where Batman's at, it's not going to work.
All right.
So,
good
yeah.
example.
Okay. So, yeah. When he called, he popped back up. He was facing directly away from me. And then made one more vocalization, and he turned. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Take a breath, breathe it out. Made a cast, hooked him up. The hook caught him right in the base of the tail on the back left side. And I took the fishing rod off, and I kind of caught Drake off guard. I didn't tell him I was going to do this. I kind of just handed him the fishing rod. I'm like, hey, keep the rod tip up, keep a line tight. Don't mess this up, man. And he kind of looked at me, and he starts reeling. And I started to grab a catch pole that we had there and a piece of rope, and I'm like, no, I don't need that. I'm like, if I touch him and the hook comes off, man, I'm gonna be here for the next 2 weeks trying to work this out. So I had rubber boots on. I kind of just jogged out there. It wasn't real deep, and it was a solid, that part of the pond had a solid base, and I could see him underwater with my headlamp, kind of going back and forth. And the second his tail touched my leg, I grabbed a front arm and grabbed a back arm, and you know, I took him and I put his tail between my legs to hold on to him and kind of a little bit of extra grip. And I'm holding on to him. You know, of course, he's trying to bite you because that's what alligators do. He's, you know what I mean? He's trying to grab hold of you, and you're like, okay, I got him. And then I told Drake, I'm like, go ahead and take your catch pole, put your catch pole on him. Just let's make sure we're sure that we're sure at this point. Let's not find a way to mess this up now.
Great.
And then we walked him like 3 or 4 feet over to the shore, set him down, like keep the catch pole on for a second. You know, make sure I had him secure, got him taped up, and then had him take the catch pole off, and then I hog tied him, and yeah, then we sat there and it was, to explain the pressure involved in a situation like this, I don't know that's even possible. It's right. You got everybody counting on you. The community wants something done. The mayor wants something done. You know, all the people I mentioned before, Park Services, EMS, and the police department, they are looking for something done. And to be able to pull that off for them in what is a legit miracle situation is a complete blessing. I mean, it's the grace of God at perfect work.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. That's a good experience, and I would say it was a blessing for sure. So the community has named this alligator Chance the Snapper, which is some relation to a Chicago known Chance the Rapper. That's how that name came about. And we're having this conversation here because Frank Robb did catch the alligator, and it's now here at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. So one of the questions that's here from Rose on Facebook was, what's the largest alligator you've ever captured?
I haven't quite met him ever yet, John. Yeah, that's still to come, I think.
Oh yeah?
That's still to come, yeah.
You have dreams of bigger alligators?
I've caught quite a few. A lot of times here in Florida, when you catch a big alligator, it's not a pleasant ending, so I'm very happy about this ending.
Oh, good. Absolutely. All right. Instagram, what was your favorite thing? Oh, we already talked about what your favorite thing was in Chicago.
So much.
How long did you think that this alligator was when you were hearing the stories and so forth? Did it seem like it was going to be a much bigger animal?
I thought he was 4 or 5 feet because before I ever got the call, I'd been keeping track of the story, and then once I got the call, before I got to the airport, even while I'm sitting at the airport waiting to go on the plane, I'm searching everything on social media and everything in the news I can find about it. And I'm looking at pictures. You can see pictures of him with ducks behind him, and you can see pictures of him with different things you can actually scale against. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
Everybody thought he was gonna be 8 or 9, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious to me how big he was gonna be.
Yeah. Okay, so we just said that the alligator did end up at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. Maybe I gave the tail end of the story away, but there was maybe a little concern about where this animal was going to go. It became a hometown icon in Chicago, and so you told us a story where you were having to talk to the folks about where you thought the alligator should go. How did that end up?
Yeah, there was some discussion about where it should end up. There was no room for it at any of the zoos in Chicago. They didn't have room for a gator, and they were asking me, what do you think? And I said, there's only one choice. It's very simple. He needs to go to the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. And they said, well, why? And I said, it is a 5-star resort for crocodilians. There is no other place on the planet that has all the species in one place. They have everything. I said, you can walk into this place, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It will blow your mind. Just trust me. That's where he needs to be. And while I'm trying to describe that to him, my uncle calls, who was a trapper for a long time. His name's Gator Bill, and I just said, "Hey, Uncle Bill, what do you say about the St. Augustine Alligator Farm?" And he said, in Uncle Bill voice, "Yeah, that's where it's going, right?" And I said, "Just tell them what you think about it. If they choose for it to go somewhere else, they are making a giant mistake. They're dropping the ball." And he goes, "That place is amazing," and he talked about it a little bit more. And then I said, "Okay, I gotta go, buddy. Thank you." I called him back later on, and I think that was pretty much it was decided right then. Like, okay, wow, all right, yeah.
Well, good. Well, we appreciate Uncle Bill and you stepping up and telling them that we're taking good care of these critters. So if you continue to follow us, you'll find that Chance the snapper is on display where one of our albino alligators used to live. The albino alligator's fine. He's just given up his exhibit for a few months while we quarantine Chance in this spot, but it's a spot where people can come see him. So we're going to give you an opportunity to see the celebrity from Chicago. We're treating him right. We've offered him some pizza. We were playing the tunes of Chicago for him every night, and we've got a big banner that says welcome to him. So we're making sure that he's comfortable here. Don't you worry about your alligator.
He's up front and central. Yeah,
Yeah.
You won't miss him when you come in.
Good, that's right. Thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So this guy Drake that you were with, he seems like he was an interesting character. You told me earlier that you guys had quite an emotional experience because you caught the alligator, which is one thing. But then what'd you do with it? What happens next?
So Drake, like many of the people I met there, I made a lot of friends for life. Pretty much family in 5 days, which is crazy trying to think about that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we catch the animal, and Drake goes, like, "Hey, we're not telling anybody anything. I'm gonna go get your truck." So I hand him my rental keys. He goes, grabs my truck, and there's a fence. There's a fence and barricades in between where me and him are at, and I hear like somebody like destroying things. Like he's ripping metal fences down and tossing barricades across the road, and you hear the truck like jumping curbs and running through a park, and he actually passed me by, and I was like, "Hey man, like, hey, come back, what are you doing?" And he comes back, and we load the gator up, and he's like, "We get out of there." We weren't telling anybody anything. We get out of there, and we're sent over to the animal control place, and there's nobody on the road, which in Chicago is amazing. We stop at this red light, and we're just kind of talking about it and thinking about it, and I look over, and the one person on the whole road is in a car beside of us, and his window's down. He's going,
staring at you.
Like, what? That's the weirdest dog I've ever seen in my life.
Because you gotta
like, what
understand,
is that?
He's got this alligator sitting in his lap in the middle of this
He's here, sitting up in my lap, I'm holding him here. And I didn't realize his head was up here, And the guy's going, "What? Like, what in the world? What is that?" And he sees it, and he goes, and then we were gone, like right then, you know what I mean? So we got out of there, and we get back to the animal control place, and we secured him in a secure area. And Drake, the riot that this man is, it's the sarcasm is, I love me some sarcasm, but so it's like, at this point, it's like 2:30 in the morning, 2:30, 2:45. He goes, "Okay, I'm going to call Kelly," which is the lady that's in charge of animal control. And he calls her, and she answers the phone, half awake because I mean she'd been out there for a while, maybe till 11 or 12, but she went home and tried to get some sleep because we were all very tired. And he goes, yeah, so got some bad news. She goes, well, what's wrong? Well, the alligator guy, he fell in the pond. He's hurt pretty bad. And I'm going, oh no, did he just say that? And like this is getting crazy right now. I'm like, and she's like, well, what happened to him? I don't know. I found him floating. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know. EMS just took him away, but it looked pretty bad. And I'm like going, and he goes about on this like a minute. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm losing years off my life while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like every 30 seconds go by, I'm losing it. I'm using like 5 years off my life. And then he finally goes, I'm just kidding. We got it. And she goes, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, he's here. He's in the container right now. He's safe. And that was then. She goes, I'm coming that way, and hangs up. But I'm like, Drake, that was rough, buddy. Like that was rough, man. Like we kind of, he's like, yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
He sounds like a good character to hang out with.
Indeed.